My teacher's smile stayed with me. The birthday wish I couldn't forget. I never expected a simple birthday wish to change anything. I was just another senior student, sitting in the back row, trying to survive my final year of high school. My life was normal, good grades, a few close friends, and a girlfriend who always complained that I spent too much time studying. Then there was Miss Emily. She was only 22, young enough that some students joked she looked more like an older sister than a teacher. She was kind, funny, and somehow managed to make even the most boring lessons interesting. I admired her. At first, it was nothing special. Everyone liked her. Even teachers talked about how talented she was. But one moment changed everything. It was my 18th birthday. I didn't tell anyone at school. Not my friends. Not my teachers. I just wanted a normal day. After the last class ended, I packed my bag and headed toward the door. Wait a second. I turned around. Miss Emily was standing near her desk with a small smile. Happy birthday, Ethan. My heart stopped. For a moment, I just stared at her. Thank you. She laughed softly. You look shocked. I am. Why? Because I never told anyone it was my birthday. She shrugged. I saw it in the school records. Then she smiled again. I hope you have a great day. That was it. Just a few words. Nothing romantic. Nothing unusual. Yet as I walked home that afternoon, I couldn't stop replaying the conversation in my head. The next day my friends noticed immediately. Dude, what's wrong with you? What do you mean? You keep smiling at your phone. I quickly locked the screen. Nothing. My best friend Jake raised an eyebrow. Is this about Miss Emily? I nearly choked on my drink. What? The entire table burst into laughter. Bro, everybody knows. My face turned red. I don't like her. Sure you don't. Seriously. Jake smirked. Then why do you look happier after talking to her than after talking to your girlfriend? The table exploded with laughter again. I laughed too. But deep down, the question bothered me. Because I didn't know the answer. And that was the moment I realized something dangerous. This wasn't just admiration anymore. I was starting to develop feelings for someone I could never have. The heart-shaped chocolate. The closer Valentine's Day got, the more nervous I became. Not because of my girlfriend. Not because of exams. But because of Miss Emily. I hated admitting it, even to myself. Every time she smiled at me, my day felt better. Every time she praised my work, I felt proud for hours. And every time she walked into the classroom, I found myself looking up without even realizing it. It was becoming a problem. A week before Valentine's Day, I was shopping for gifts. My girlfriend wanted flowers. My mom wanted chocolates. And somehow, while walking through the store, I found myself staring at a small heart-shaped chocolate container. I picked it up. Then immediately put it back. What am I doing? I whispered. Buying something like that for a teacher felt wrong. Not because I wanted to cross any boundaries. But because I knew what it could look like. Still, I couldn't stop thinking about it. The night before Valentine's Day, I came up with a solution. If I gave chocolates to all my teachers, then nobody would think anything of it. So I bought several boxes. Different sizes. Different designs. And yes, one of them was the heart-shaped container. For Miss Emily. The next morning, my backpack was filled with chocolates. As I handed them out, every teacher smiled and thanked me. Everything was going according to plan. Until I reached her classroom. My heart started pounding. Miss Emily looked up from her desk. "What's this?" I handed her the gift. "Just a Valentine's gift. I got something for all my teachers." Her eyes softened. "That was very thoughtful of you." Then she noticed the heart-shaped container. For one terrifying second, I thought she would misunderstand. Instead, she simply smiled. "Thank you, Ethan." I nodded quickly and left before I embarrassed myself. Later that day, Jake cornered me in the hallway. "You gave her the heart-shaped one, didn't you?" My eyes widened. "How do you know?" "Because you're predictable." I groaned. "It doesn't mean anything." Jake laughed. "Keep telling yourself that." That evening, I sat on my bed thinking about the whole thing. The truth was simple. I wasn't trying to impress her. I wasn't trying to date her. And I definitely wasn't planning to confess my feelings. I respected her too much for that. But no matter how hard I tried to convince myself otherwise, the heart-shaped chocolate wasn't an accident. I had chosen it because it reminded me of her. And that realization scared me more than anything. Because for the first time, I understood how deep my feelings were becoming. And I had no idea how to stop them. A few days later, the school announced a talent showcase. Students and teachers would perform on stage. When I saw Miss Emily's name on the list, I smiled. I had no idea that one dance performance was about to make everything 10 times harder. The night she danced. Sometimes, all it takes is one moment to make a crush feel bigger than it should. For me, that moment came on the night of the school talent showcase. At first, I wasn't even planning to attend. I had assignments to finish, messages from my girlfriend waiting to be answered, and 100 other things I could have done instead. But when I heard that Miss Emily was performing, I changed my mind. Students filled every seat. Teachers sat together near the front. The stage lights illuminated the room while music played through the speakers. Performance after performance went by. Singers. Happy. Free. Completely different from the teacher who stood in front of a whiteboard every day. And when she started dancing, everyone was impressed. Including me. Maybe more than anyone else. I found myself cheering louder than I ever had before. My friends kept laughing. "Dude, calm down." "I am calm." "No, you're not." They were right. I wasn't. Every time she completed a difficult move, I clapped. Every time the crowd cheered, I cheered louder. By the end of the performance, my voice was almost gone. When the music ended, the entire auditorium stood up. A standing ovation. Miss Emily smiled and bowed. For a brief moment, she looked toward our section. And I swear her eyes landed on me. Just for a second. But that second was enough to make my heart race. After the event ended, students crowded around the performers. Some wanted pictures. Others wanted autographs or conversations. I stood near the exit for several minutes, debating whether I should approach her. Part of me wanted to leave. The other part wanted to tell her how amazing she had been. Eventually, I took a deep breath and walked over. "Miss Emily." She turned around. "Oh, Ethan." The fact that she recognized me instantly made me nervous. "You were really amazing out there." Her face brightened. "Thank you." No, seriously. That was probably the best performance tonight. She laughed. I don't know about that. I'm serious. Well, thank you. That means a lot. For a moment, neither of us said anything. Then another group of students approached her. I knew it was time to go. Good night, Miss Emily. Good night, Ethan. Get home safely. As I walked to my car, I couldn't stop smiling. Not because of the dance. Not because of the conversation. But because she had seemed genuinely happy to talk to me. And that feeling stayed with me the entire night. When I got home, my girlfriend called. We talked for almost an hour. She told me about her day. I told her about the showcase. Then she laughed. Let me guess. Your favorite teacher performed. I froze. She immediately started laughing harder. I knew it. Stop. You have the biggest schoolboy crush ever. I do not. You absolutely do. I rolled my eyes. But deep down, I knew she was right. That night, lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling. For the first time, I admitted something to myself. I liked Miss Emily. A lot. But I also knew something else. No matter how much I admired her, nothing could ever happen between us. And maybe that was exactly why it hurt. Because sometimes the people who leave the biggest mark on our hearts are the ones we were never meant to have. The picture I never took. After the talent showcase, I promised myself something. I would stop thinking about Miss Emily. No more daydreaming. No more looking for excuses to talk to her. No more overanalyzing every smile, every conversation, every small interaction. It sounded easy. But it wasn't. Because every school day started the same way. The moment she walked into the classroom, my promise disappeared. A few days later, the school began preparing for graduation week. Teachers and students were everywhere decorating hallways, hanging banners, and organizing activities. Our class had been assigned to help set up the main hall. The work was exhausting, but everyone was having fun. Including me. At least until Miss Emily arrived. Then suddenly I became very aware of everything I was doing. How I was standing. What I was saying. Whether my hair looked okay. It was ridiculous. Can someone help me with these decorations? She asked. Before anyone else could answer, my hand shot into the air. Immediately. Without thinking. The entire class laughed. Wow, Ethan volunteered fast. I felt my face burn. Miss Emily chuckled. Well, thank you for your enthusiasm. For the next hour, we worked with a few other students decorating the stage area. Nothing special happened. We just talked about school, exams, and graduation plans. Normal conversations. Yet somehow, those ordinary moments felt important to me. And maybe that was the problem. I was turning ordinary things into unforgettable memories. Later that afternoon, the principal announced that a photographer would be taking pictures for the school's graduation album. Students gathered near the stage. Teachers stood in the center. Everyone was trying to find a spot. Then my friends noticed something. An empty space. Right beside Miss Emily. Jake looked at me and grinned. Oh no. What? You know exactly what. Before I could react, he shoved me forward. The other guys joined in. Suddenly I found myself stumbling into the empty space. Directly next to her. Miss Emily laughed. Looks like they volunteered you. I forced a smile. Looks like it. Inside, my heart was trying to escape my chest. The photographer raised his camera. Everyone smile. Flash. Another flash. And another. 3 photos. 3 seconds. That was all. Then everyone started moving again. The moment was over. That evening, the photos were uploaded online. Students immediately started sharing them. Commenting. Tagging each other. Making jokes. I scrolled until I found the group picture. And there it was. Me standing beside Miss Emily. Both of us smiling at the camera. Nothing unusual. Just a teacher and her student. A completely normal photo. I stared at it longer than I should have. Then my finger hovered over the save button. 1 tap. That's all it would take. 1 tap and the photo would stay on my phone forever. A reminder of that day. Of that moment. Of her. But I didn't save it. Instead, I locked my phone. Because deep down, I knew something. The more memories I collected, the harder it would be to let go. And sooner or later, I would have to let go. A few days later, something happened that changed everything. I was leaving school after basketball practice when I saw Miss Emily walking toward the parking lot. I wasn't paying much attention at first. Then I noticed someone waiting for her. A man. Maybe 25 or 26. Tall. Well-dressed. Holding flowers. The moment she saw him, her face lit up. The kind of smile I had never seen before. Not in class. Not at school. Not anywhere. She ran over and hugged him. And in that instant, my heart sank. Because I finally realized something. Miss Emily had a life outside these classroom walls. Dreams. Plans. People she loved. And I was never part of that world. I stood there frozen, watching them drive away. For the first time, reality hit me harder than any rejection ever could. Because she hadn't rejected me. She didn't even know how I felt. Yet somehow, it still hurt. The lesson that finally broke my heart. For the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about what I had seen. The flowers. The hug. The smile on Miss Emily's face. It played over and over in my mind. Not because I was jealous. At least, that's what I kept telling myself. But because it forced me to face a truth I had been avoiding for months. She was never mine to dream about. The strange thing was that Miss Emily hadn't changed at all. She still smiled at students. She still joked during class. She still encouraged everyone the same way she always had. The only person who had changed was me. Suddenly, every interaction felt different. Because now I knew. There was an entire part of her life that existed beyond school. And I was just one student among hundreds. One afternoon, after class ended, I stayed behind to finish an assignment. The room slowly emptied until it was just me and Miss Emily. She was grading papers while I worked quietly. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then she looked up. "Ethan." "Yeah. You seem quieter lately." My heart skipped. She noticed. "I've just been tired," I lied. She nodded slowly. "Senior year can do that." Then she smiled. "But don't forget to enjoy it too." I laughed softly. Easier said than done. "Trust me." She leaned back in her chair. One day you'll look back and realize these years went by faster than you expected. I don't know why, but something about her words hit me differently that day. Maybe because graduation was getting closer. Maybe because I knew that soon I'd never see her again. Or maybe because I was finally accepting reality. As I packed my bag to leave, Miss Emily stopped me. "Ethan." I turned around. "Yeah." She hesitated for a moment. Then she smiled. "I just wanted to say I'm proud of you." I froze. "What?" "You're a good student. You've worked hard this year." She looked genuinely sincere. "I think you're going to do great things." Those words should have made me happy. And they did. But they also hurt. Because in that moment, I realized something. The way she looked at me wasn't the way a woman looks at someone she loves. It wasn't even close. She looked at me the way a teacher looks at a student she believes in. With kindness. With encouragement. With pride. Nothing more. Nothing less. For months, I had been building a fantasy in my head. Not because of anything she did. But because of how I felt. And now, sitting there in that classroom, I finally saw things clearly. Miss Emily had never given me false hope. Never crossed a line. Never led me on. She had simply been a good teacher. And I had mistaken that kindness for something more. That night, I sat alone in my room. For the first time, I didn't replay old conversations. I didn't think about the dance. I didn't think about the birthday wish. I didn't think about the chocolates. Instead, I thought about her words. "I'm proud of you." And somehow, that was enough. Because maybe love isn't always about being with someone. Sometimes it's about appreciating the impact they had on your life. Sometimes it's about respecting them enough to let them remain exactly who they are. And sometimes, it's about letting go. Even when your heart isn't ready. As graduation day grew closer, I knew there was one final goodbye waiting for me. One last conversation. One last memory. And after that, Miss Emily would become part of my past. A beautiful chapter of my life. But still, only a chapter. Graduation day, the goodbye I never wanted to say. The morning of graduation arrived faster than I expected. For months, everyone had been counting down the days. No more exams. No more homework. No more uniforms. Freedom. Yet as I stood in front of the mirror adjusting my graduation gown, I didn't feel excited. I felt sad. Because I knew something everyone else seemed happy to ignore. This was the end. The school auditorium looked completely different. Families filled the seats. Students laughed and took pictures. Teachers moved around making sure everything was ready. And it was. After today, I might never see Miss Emily again. Students hugged friends. Parents took photographs. Everyone celebrated. But I knew there was still one thing left to do. Say goodbye. I spotted Miss Emily near the exit talking to a group of parents. For several minutes, I stood there debating with myself. Part of me wanted to leave. Maybe it would hurt less. Maybe some goodbyes were better left unsaid. But eventually, I forced myself to walk over. "Miss Emily." She turned and immediately smiled. "Ethan." For a second, it felt like every conversation we'd ever had was leading to this moment. "I just wanted to thank you." Her expression softened. "For what?" "For everything. She laughed quietly. That's a pretty broad answer. I'm serious. I looked down at my diploma. You helped me more than you probably realize. For the first time, my voice almost cracked. She seemed surprised. Then she smiled. The same warm smile that had brightened countless school days. You did all the hard work yourself. Maybe. I laughed. But your classes made it easier. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The noise around us faded into the background. Then she said something I would never forget. You know, Ethan, when I first taught your class, I worried I wasn't a good teacher. I blinked. What? She nodded. It was my first year. I made mistakes all the time. I couldn't imagine that. To me, she had always seemed confident. Perfect, even. But students like you made me believe I was doing okay. I stared at her. For once, I had no words. She reached out and gently patted my shoulder. I'm proud of the person you've become. There it was again. Those words. The same words that had stayed with me for weeks. And suddenly, something inside me changed. Not dramatically. Not all at once. But enough. Because for the first time, I wasn't looking at Miss Emily as the girl I couldn't have. I was looking at her as the teacher who had changed my life. And somehow, that felt even more important. A photographer walked past. Want a quick picture? Miss Emily looked at me. Sure. I nodded. One final photo. One final memory. The camera flashed. And just like that, it was done. The last picture. The last conversation. The last day. As I turned to leave, she called after me. Ethan. I looked back. Yeah. She smiled. Good luck out there. I smiled too. For the first time in months, it wasn't a sad smile. Thanks, Miss Emily. Then I walked away. And I didn't look back. That night, while scrolling through graduation photos, I found the picture. Me in my graduation gown. Miss Emily standing beside me. Both smiling. A perfect ending. I saved it. Not because I was still holding on. But because I finally understood what it meant. Some people enter your life for a season. Not to become your future. But to help shape it. And sometimes, the most beautiful love stories are the ones that never become love stories at all. The end. Red heart graduation cap sparkles.